I bet you, at least once in your life, walked into a room, met someone new, or experienced something new that felt weirdly familiar. I bet you, at least once in your life, walked into a room, met someone new, or experienced something new that felt weirdly familiar. Wait, do it again? Well, that is a perfect example of what déjà vu is not. Déjà vu is not something that is the same. It's something that is repeated. For example, you take the same route to your work and the view is similar every time and you're like, oh, I get déjà vu from this view. No, it's just similar. The same way déjà vu is not when you walk into your favorite restaurant and you see the waiter that waited for you last time. That is not déjà vu. Déjà vu is a strong sense of global familiarity that occurs in seemingly novel situations. So that's why déjà vu is translated already seen. But that is not the only vu. For example, there's jamais vu. It's complete opposite of déjà vu. It translates literally never seen. For example, you could look at the word that you used many times and wrote many times, and it looks unfamiliar to you and you feel like it's a wrong word, or its letters are not in the same way, or you come back home from work and you feel like you've never been here before, or you go through the same route, you go to work or to school and it feels like you've never been here before when you literally have been, but it feels like it's not. I had jamais vu so many times when I was looking at the word. I remember the word interesting. I was looking at it and I'm like, no, there's something wrong. The letters here are not right. I had like 10 situations, at least 10 situations that I can remember where I experienced jamais vu, where I looked at the thing I see almost every day and I'm like, I've never seen that before. It's not familiar. It's, there's also presque vu. It translates almost seen. It's when something is on the tip of your tongue, an idea or a name or something, and you cannot remember. You could forget someone's name that you knew that person for so long, or you watched that movie so many times, but now you can remember. It's literally at the tip of your tongue and you cannot really get it out. I mean, I don't even know how to describe it. I think everyone had that feeling of presque vu. I don't know. I don't know French, so if my pronunciation is wrong, I'm désolé. I literally experience it once a week or once a month, for sure. Maybe even almost every day, but I didn't want to say that because I think that would be a little concerning. The next one is déjà rêvé. It translates literally already dream. When you feel like you dreamed that dream before, or like you dreamed that moment of your life right now. You're sitting at a cafe and there's, I don't know, pigeon flying and there's a man on a bicycle that falls or something like that, and you get this feeling of, well, I dreamed that. You have this sense of familiarity as to like, I already dreamed that. I already feel like familiar to this situation. I feel like it happened before, but in my dream. I'm not sure. I mean, I had more cases of like being awake and doing my own stuff and remembering my dream and thinking like, did the dream literally like really happened only this night? Because I have this familiarity, like it happened a month ago. I don't think it happened today. I just remember it, but it's not the same thing. But it's a little weird thing also. Déjà entendu is when you feel like you already heard something, like you have already heard that song, a phrase, movie quote, or something like that. I feel that a lot when I'm watching TikTok and there's little bits and people make music from like, or sounds from TV shows and movies, and I'm like, I already heard that before, even though I never, watched that show, or like, I mean, obviously I could hear it because of a TikTok, but I also had a lot of those moments. I don't have as much déjà vu as I have all these things that I read to you, but the next one I've never had. I mean, now that I'm thinking of it, I don't think I ever experienced it. So the next one is déjà vu, literally already lived. Déjà vu is when you feel like this moment that lasts like a second or two, you have already lived, like it already happened, it's happening again. But déjà vu is when you feel like you lived this moment, not a second, but this moment of maybe sitting in a cafe again, and there's pigeon and man falling off a bicycle, and you're like, oh, it's weird. I feel like I've lived this before. It's, I never got déjà vu. When I was doing research for this video, I found out that there's a person who constantly feels constant déjà vu, which is déjà vu, because, well, I'm gonna get later into this, because there are scientific theories to déjà vu, and there are also philosophical theories. And first I want to talk about 3 most popular philosophical theories about déjà vu, what happens, why, what is the reason behind that. So first one is parallel universe theory, which suggests that you experience déjà vu because you already experienced and lived that moment in alternate reality. According to the many world interpretation quantum mechanism, infinite versions of reality exist. So déjà vu might be a moment where those 2 parallel timelines sync up together, thus making you feel like you already lived this before. The next theory I think was used in Matrix. I've never watched Matrix, so I might be wrong, but the next theory is that we live in this simulated reality and there's glitch in the system, and that's why we feel déjà vu. So it's like momentary bug in the system, like in video games, for example, when the frame repeats or the game lags for 1 second. Thus, some people believe that déjà vu is a clue that our reality is not real. And the third one is past lives / reincarnation theory, which believes and suggests that we have already lived that moment in our life, and that particular places, people, memories can trigger those memories of our past life. And that's why we get déjà vu. There are so many other theories. People came up over the years with, I think, hundreds and thousands of theories, because it's hard to pin down when will you get déjà vu. So thus it's very hard for scientists to actually look into this reason of déjà vu and why it happens if no one knows when will that happen, because if someone would ask me right now, predict when will your déjà vu happen, I don't know. It's like winning a lottery. It just happens. I don't know why I took winning a lottery as an example, because it includes like luck maybe or something. And okay, but also interesting fact about déjà vu. People from 15 to 25 experience the most déjà vu of all age groups, because after 25 there's little to no experiences of déjà vu. It has something to do with the fact that our brain matures the most, like it grows, it's stopped growing after like 25, because it still grows until 25. I think it's prefrontal lobe that is evolving and growing until 25, and then it stops, so there's no déjà vu. So we looked at 3 philosophical reasons of why déjà vu happens, why people think déjà vu happens, and right now I'm gonna tell you the most common and the most popular 3 scientific reasons that back up scientifically why déjà vu happens, what is going on here that déjà vu happens. First one is dual processing theory. This theory suggests that déjà vu happens when there's a slight delay in how our brain processes information, causing for present moment to feel like a memory. Our brain has 2 different ways of processing information. First one is immediate perception, fast processing. When we see something, it immediately just goes, which basically means that your brain takes in information in real time. And second one is memory formation, which is a slight slower processing, which means that your brain records new experiences into memory. Sometimes something happens and our brain records the same information 2 times separately, through fast processing and through slightly slower processing. So that's why when our brain records that same experience second time, milliseconds later, it feels like it's not a new memory. It's which basically it isn't. It isn't a new memory, but our brain records the same situation second time, and we feel like, oh, that happened before. I remember. So that's why déjà vu happened based on this theory. The next one is holographic memory theory, which suggests that our brain records information and memories in holographic way, which means that even small patterns or a little small thing can trigger past memory, which triggers sense of familiarity. For example, you're sitting in a cafe and there's a table that looks exactly like the table you had as a child when you were at your grandma's house, and it has the same height and it's made of same wood. Basically, could be the same table from same manufacturer, and there's a little scratch there that also had been on your grandma's table, and you could feel déjà vu because it reminds you of your childhood, of something that was in the past, and you feel like, oh, I've seen this table before, but you literally did, but it's, I don't know, when I'm explaining it, it sounds so dumb, but basically, instead of storing memories in different files, like a computer, what a brain does is it stores them with overlapping patterns. So as I gave you that example of like a table in a cafe or something like that, if your brain sees something similar, even in the slightest, in like a minor similarity to the memory you already have, it reconstructs the whole experience, making you feel like you already been here before. Like if you see that table with the same scratch on it or something like that, or the same painting or whatever, our brain is like, oh, you've been here before. Definitely, because of this overlapping pattern, you definitely been here before. The last one is divided attention theory. This theory suggests that déjà vu happened because your brain processes something subconsciously before focusing on it. For example, if you walk into the room you've never been to, or like to the store, and you are on your phone, or your mind is occupied with a text message that you sent, or with the conversation with a friend, or like about the work, there's something on your mind and you're thinking of it, and you, without even knowing it, your brain takes in the color, the atmosphere, the smell, everything of the room without you even knowing it. And when you finally regain focus and look around the room, your brain takes in that information also when you consciously look around, and it feels like it's the second time around. And this is why fatigue, stress, and multitasking increase déjà vu. There's also some cases where a lot of déjà vu is a very dangerous thing and you should visit your doctor. But if it happens to you like once a year, once half a year, you're completely fine. I think. I'm not a doctor. I'm not gonna give you doctor advice because I'm not a doctor. So anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this video, because this is the end of the video, and I hope that you subscribed and you like this video and all these other things that I feel very uncomfortable saying because it makes me cringe. This word makes me cringe also, but I don't know other word for what I'm feeling when I say that. So anyway, have a great day, and I'll see you in a few weeks or in a couple seconds if you want to watch any of my videos. So I love you. Have a good one. Bye.